Hello, hello, testing, testing. Ooh, let's get some music. Hold on. Music, music, music. Let's get,
Start the year deliciously.
Oh, no, a commercial. No, 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 no. I fucking hate this. This is it. Like, this literally is why I hate capitalism. And they're going to want me to, they're like, buy YouTube Red. I don't want to fucking buy YouTube Red. I don't want to buy YouTube Red. YouTube Red. I want Gibbs me that in the form of not having to listen to some stupid crap that you're supposed to shovel into some like disgusting pseudo sustenance that you're supposed to shovel into your face. Oh, jeez. Okay. Hold on. Stream starting soon. I'll give it a sec. I'm ready for a calm stream. Tom Anderson's ready for a calm stream. I love blood sports, personally. I love chaos. Oh, I love chaos. But, and I love a sort of absurdist humor and like the sort of odd. There's just a very kind of funny. I like the very fast-paced, funny dynamic. It's just sort of like the kind of chaotic Jewy thing. I think it's like, I don't know, it's like the Marx Brothers or something like that. You know, I like that. I like that. You know, I like some fast-paced bands, but I like blood sports. But it's like at the same time, I feel like there's also a place for the calm things, and sometimes blood sports just gets so just silly, and it's about just people's egos and da da da. It's just tedious, but it's like as long as it's no matter what it's about, it can be about some silly, you know, dramatic nonsense. As long as the manner in which people are exchanging insults are funny, I generally tend to enjoy it. Like when people are sort of caught in the heat of the moment, so they'll say sort of like strange, half-baked insults or whatever to each other, and you know, or they'll be, I don't know. But yeah, I like the calmness. I started in the calmness, and that's going to be generally my thing. Like, usually when there's blood sports, you know, I can't debate, so I usually just get other people to debate for me. Or I host streams where people debate, and I just sort of sit back. Because I can't really debate. I mean, it's just not really my thing. I just sort of start yelling at someone. I can't really, like, make a good, coherent argument, like, in a short form, so. I'm better at that when I write. Or yeah, I just get someone else to make the debate for me, usually. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, it depends. Like, sometimes the blood sport stuff just can be, like, really petty, and it's, like it's too much, but at other times it's also, how would I put it? Like, it really depends. It really depends. I don't know. Really situational again. I'm just going to start sending the link out. Hello, Bernard, Anderson, and Acorn. I'm going to post a link in the chat. All right? Okay. So the main reason why I started doing this is because I got this video like on my recommended feed, and I just wanted to roast it because it's such crap. But this music's putting me in a very calm mood. I'm not sure if it's not roast-worthy music. It's this idiot. I mean, no, I'm being uncharitable. See, that's wrong of me. This guy's probably a lot more intelligent than I am. But there's this guy in this video. This freaking, like, you know, he has a lot of, like, buccal fat, however you say it. Like, this chubby-faced blowhard is my perception of him. That's my perception. I'm a chubby-faced blowhard, and I'm saying he's a chubby-faced blowhard. But, like, this dude's video is coming up on my stream, and it's like, here, David Menzies. I just had to say something about this, because this just irritated me. Like, maybe I'm in the wrong here. And before I start my commentary here, I'm just going to say... Actually, you know, screw it. Let's just play the video here. Get a nice 700 pixels.
Currently making the rounds. It might just be... I recently happened upon a YouTube video that's currently making the rounds.
The Rebel. I love how it says The Rebel. Like, they're so edgy and rebellious. I love that name.
Might just be the saddest thing I've seen in recent memory. Melancholy aside, this short video also makes for a profound cautionary tale when it comes to the virus that is Islamofascism. Simply
it's the virus that is Islamofascism. Oh my god. I just love that rhetoric. I love it's the counter jihad thing, isn't it? Is sort of what it used to be called. It's like it's that kind of, it's like not neocons exactly, but like it's a very specific type. Like and it ranges from, like, there are more like moderate kind of counter jihad who are like the more kind of neoconish types. Not counter jihad, but I'm talking about a type of ideology. And then you have the ones that literally would, like, call themselves, quote, counter jihad, who are like you know who I mean. They're like the ones who are all edgy, and they're like the virus of Islamofascism and stuff like that. It's like what do you call them? And I'm not saying like these people are bad. Like the Rebel, like, I see what they're doing, I get what they're doing, yeah, but it's like, jeez. I mean, I don't know. Like, to me, it's just kind of like painfully basic. Painfully basic.
I agree.
Yeah, painfully basic, so much to the point that it may actually be like not. Like, I kind of don't support this because this, like, well, I'll get into it in a bit why I say, like, I don't support this, but I don't know. Like, do you have any thoughts, Levi, before I roll the video more?
No, I basically agreed with everything you said. To be honest, it's very hyperbolic, and yeah, it's unnecessary.
Well, I mean, I understand what they're trying to say. Basically, like, someone like this is like, you know, I don't want, you know, it's like, this is I guess, okay, so this is like a Western guy, like a European guy, and they're like, you know, like, I live in America or Canada, I don't want to deal with, like, Sharia law because that interferes with my liberalism, basically.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, that's fine, but it's like, I don't know. I just think that, you know, the empty sort of like signaling. Yeah, I feel like, but the thing is, the empty sort of like capitalist, liberalist sphere, the individualist thing that these people promote, like, generates a vacuum into which things such as Islamofascism will pour. They will pour in to fill that void. So it's like, I don't know. But sorry, go ahead. You have anything to say before I play the video a bit more?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, it's like a form of virtue signaling, almost.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it is. Yeah, they And I mean, I see what they're doing, but it's like, man, and they've been doing this for a while, like at least 10 years. Like as long as I've been on the internet, there have been these types of people. Let's play.
Put,
All right,
the video is a montage of amateur film clips shot in Afghanistan, Iran, and Libya. The first part is comprised of clips from the 1960s and 70s. Just call that time period the proverbial good old days. To show you what I mean by that, just check out what these Islamic republics used to look like just a few decades ago.
Ooh, magazines, cars, expensive clothes. Ooh, they're consuming. Look, but it's like, ooh, look, they're superficially, you know, basically aping the West, aping your European standards and aesthetics. Oh wow, great. Jeez, I mean, like, turn the. I mean, I'm not saying like that. Oh, the prior Iran is like how it what's it called, how is bad necessarily, like in terms of Zoroastrianism versus it was sort of a more Zoroastrian aligned Iran versus a more Islamically aligned Iran. But at the same time, it's like, you know, what they're showing here in this video is basically, I mean, it's basically like this Eurocentric kind of like white supremacist, or they're gonna probably call it like Western chauvinist, or like the West is the best because of capitalism and freedom. Look, women can walk around wearing bikinis and, you know, like buy the cars and stuff. And like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think, you know, I mean, I guess I can see why women say, well, this is a better vision than the Islamic vision, but it's like maybe an even better vision than either would be one where it's I don't know, where it's where it sort of has, I guess, more of its own image, and it's just sort of less kind of lapped over by this kind of like bland, vague, generic kind of Western Eurocentric kind of like capitalist nonsense. I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's kind of where Israel is right now, for instance. And I'm saying, like, is that a place where you want to be? Like, if I had to choose between that Israel and like some sort of, you know, extreme theocratic Jewish Israel, you know, it's like, I don't know, you know, that's the thing. That's the thing, is it's not exactly they're not exactly offering a strong alternative. And what he says in this video really illustrates that. Just hold on, I'll go back to it. That was nice architecture, I'll admit. I like that.
As you saw, very Western-looking societies, places where once upon a time down at the beach.
Ah, yes, very Western, very good, very Western, very good, says the neo-European colonialist, globalist, and who wants this like hegemonic sort of like standard. I mean, I don't know, like, of course he wants the world to look like what he's familiar with, you know. Oh, and it would be even great if we can go to the local mall and the drive-in or some bullshit like that, I bet. But it's like, honest to God, it's like, yeah, oh, they look, magazines, bikinis, objectification of women, you know, like more things to like tempt, more like things to tempt lustful men into doing things like, oh wow, like great, wow, women can walk around wearing as little as they want and there's nudity everywhere.
A bikini was far more commonplace than a burqa, but as the saying goes, that was then and this is now. Let's fast forward the video.
Yeah, the time when a bikini is more commonplace than a burqa. Wouldn't it be great? Aren't bikinis great? Wouldn't it be great if everyone was just walking around wearing bikinis? Isn't that a civilized society? I mean, look at these stupid savages who have this ridiculous idea of like female modesty. I mean, good God.
Video to check out how the same countries look today. As you'll see, things are slightly different now.
Oh no. I love how they're like showing the poverty, like they're getting like the poverty-ish, like the rubble and the destruction and like the war shots. It's like, I mean, it's like, this isn't exactly a steel man, but I mean, I totally get the point he's making. Let's go. Oh no, capital punishment. Horrible.
The contrast of then and now is...
I mean, that's just sort of like vague, no offense, but that's just sort of like vague imagery to appeal to like people's, like Westerners, like sensibilities, and they're like, oh, these, like, I mean, that's just like confirmation bias image, sort of like, oh, it's them, it's that sort of like block of like brown awfulness. But I mean, I at the same time, like, I do totally get what this guy's saying, and it's like, I'm sub to the Rebel channel, and I've like followed their work for years, so it's like I'm not completely just like taking a dump everywhere. I'm just kind of in that impish combative mood. But yeah, this guy's just sort of a dork in his like bad suit and everything. Or not bad suit, like the shirt and tie, and it's just like, and he's rubbing his hands. Oh yes, back when the Iranian women were wearing bikinis. All right, let's go.
Funny and tragic. But the cautionary part of this tale is that a society beholden to Sharia law doesn't necessarily take bloom at the flick of a switch. Rather...
Yeah, this appeals to boomers and like right-wing women. It's like these right-wing women who watch channels like the Rebel TV. It's like, listen, I don't date any liberal men or any soy boys, and like, I hate Islam. I want to be free and wear my bikini and take the Instagram selfie photos with the Trump hat, with the bikini and the Trump hat, and then you know, like the like 6 foot plus, you know, like white guy who works out and like has like, you know, a nice facial physiognomy, you know, like strong jawline and stuff, will be like, hey, like, hey, I really like your work. Oh yeah, do you want to go to like a rally together sometime or something like that? We can like totally like go there with a microphone, and we can totally trigger some leftists or something like that. I mean, it's just like this nonsensical. Oh yeah, like that's who it appeals to, like those people, and then like boomers, basically, like, or older, not boomers. I mean, that's just a phrase, but just, yeah, older people in general. The older people, some kind of like lower information older people. And I mean, some of these people are kind of high information. It's just that they have just such an extreme confirmation bias. And I mean, maybe I don't blame them, because like, you know, maybe like this is my perspective and I'm just like this, you know, like the Jew thing going on, and like my family is from the Middle East. So it's like, so maybe like it is sensible and reasonable for Westerners to have like these disgusted and revolted reactions to, you know, things that aren't of their sensibility, things that their culture doesn't generate. So like, I do understand that. And maybe this is sort of the healthy reaction that I'm mocking, you know? So, like, maybe that's, like, very subversive of me, but it's, I don't know. I just feel like, I feel like, if you're going to be critiquing something, you really need to have an alternative that won't lead to a vacuum, which leads to something exactly like what you're critiquing will fill the void. You need to have a more positive, affirmative vision. Sorry, go ahead. I'm just going to finish this up.
It's often a gradual process. A Sharia society tends to manifest itself bit by bit, inch by inch, and it begins with the little things.
Okay, he's right about this.
103, the motion that condemns Islamophobia. It begins with allowing for gender apartheid mini-mosques in public schools. It begins by having taxpayer-funded, segregated swimming pools. And it's all aided and abetted by those primarily on the left, aka the useful idiots.
This dude looks like a Cheeto.
Those who will bend over backwards to offer reasonable accommodation to certain groups and individuals.
Okay, everything he's saying here is completely on the money. Like, not going to deny this. I mean, the left. I mean, sure, the left. I think that that's a pretty shoddy analysis, but, you know, is a 4-minute and 30-second video. What can you do?
That embrace an ideology that is neither reasonable nor accommodating.
An ideology that is neither reasonable nor accommodating. See, this is like in the stage where it's like this dude is like still in the stage of like, hey, look, you say you're all about openness and individual rights and pro women, but you are okay with, and you say you're anti-discrimination, but you're okay with when white people get discriminated against. Gotcha. And they think like that will care. They think like the quote unquote leftists will give a shit like about that call out. And he's still in the stage of where it's like, oh, look, you claim you're all about, insert X, Y, and Z values here, but at the same time, you support like bringing in Muslims who are, they oppress minorities and they oppress Jews and they oppress women. So gotcha. It's like, because these people haven't quite got it yet. They haven't even come close to figuring out how things actually work. They're still sort of in this kind of realm of abstracts. Maybe it's because, and this will probably happen to me as I age, our brains calcify as we get older and our sort of manners of thinking calcify. So I think it's just kind of hard to shift paradigms once you have sort of your ways of thinking established beyond a certain age. I even see people like Chomsky has kind of a difficult time switching some of his thought patterns, and he's like quite an intelligent guy. So, I mean, like, even like, and I think, I mean, Zizek's younger. Like, I admire Zizek's ability to, I was talking about him earlier, with his ability to accurately observe contemporary phenomena as someone who's a bit older and, make some pretty decent commentary on things going on. But let's go back to the video.
Hey, Babs. Oh.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Oh, just a quick point. I used to be more dismissive of like alt-right arguments, like, oh, Islam is less free or bullshit stuff like that. But it is actually surprisingly effective against like liberal arguments. Like if you're having a debate and it's like being done on their terms, like it is sometimes effective to be able to point out their, like, to have like the arguments in your back pocket to point out like their contradictions.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe sometimes. It just depends on the person you're arguing with. Maybe. I just think that, like, I don't know. I just doubt, like, how many quote-unquote leftists do you think have been dissuaded by, you support Islamic immigration, but look what Muslims actually do. Because it's like, they know exactly. They either know, like, in the back of their head, and they're trying to sort of, like, convince themselves, or they
don't know if they do, or it's like it's very, very deeply subconscious.
Yeah, it's very deeply subconscious, but I mean, they know. I mean, you can't, come on. I mean, they know, and they still support it because it's about their sort of ideology above everything else, and they view there to be larger issues, and they view that to relatively be a smaller issue, or if they do perceive it as a large issue, it's kind of subconscious in the back of their head. It's and I mean, that's just scraping the surface. I could, there's a whole series of thought processes that I think are at play here.
Yeah, I see the kind of less like hardcore arguments as basically because in order to persuade someone, you can't just like completely contradict like their whole belief system. You have to, spot like small contradictions here and there until gradually like the whole thing unravels. So I think like the less extreme arguments are better at like softly converting people, but not everybody, obviously. But they have a place, is what I'm saying, like the alt-right kind of argument.
Yeah, maybe for older people who are less like deeply entrenched and sort of ideological. But I think that I don't know, honestly. I don't know. I mean, and then when it comes to, I mean, there's so many facets to this. Like, I could go on for a while. So I'm just gonna finish this video. Hold on.
Find ourselves today in Canada and other Western democracies. Instead of standing up for Western exceptionalism and Western values, we are cursed with political elites who consider terminology such as Western values to be embarrassing. And in the name of misguided opinion.
I mean, I basically called this earlier in the video there. He just said basically Western exceptionalism and Western values. I called it with like the Western chauvinist, Western value supremacist thing. Of course he is.
Easement, these people are only too happy to make the West more like the East.
Oh no, make the West more like the East. And I think that, okay, so I do think he has a fair point here when it's like, you know, like in a sense it is kind of Western to... It is like a, quote, Western thing. Like, even as you go east within Europe, you notice there's kind of a gradient. I'm not even sure if it's a gradient or if it's really just, or if it's a more rigid cultural cutoff, but there are differences. You know, Northwest Europeans and North Europeans are sort of different. They sort of have, like, some unique kind of, like, psychological tendencies. And, you know, maybe these are cultural and totally socialized in, and maybe these are, like, totally hereditary things that have been like selected in. I don't know. And you know, until people do some serious research on this and devote like serious academic effort, you know, there probably isn't going to be a conclusive answer as to why things are as they are. I mean, I've heard plenty of theories, hypotheses, but yeah, theories. I'm not sure if I've heard a full hypothesis, but yeah. I think that at the same time, like, you know, like, for instance, I don't know, is modesty a, quote, Eastern thing? Is, I don't know, like, having a, I mean, because, yeah, individualism, there is kind of, like, this thing of, like, the individualism of, like, Northwest Europe, of the Anglos. So maybe he's right. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. You don't want to get too unbalanced, necessarily.
The point is, slowly, ever so slowly, the line moves. And then one day, maybe it's a few years from now, maybe...
Yeah, what someone in the chat says, Western values, such as to be capitalist predators and make porn.
Maybe it's a few decades from now, you look out the window and you say to yourself, what the hell happened to my country? For the Rebel.media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Like what you just saw, then click subscribe below and never miss another
David the Menzoid
video.
Menzies. Look at his freaking face, dude. David the Menzoid. The Menzoid. There he is talking about... he's talking about Charlottesville. What does it say? You guys need to try out chaga mushroom tea, Beast. I've never heard of it. Tell me about chaga mushroom tea. I'm curious. Why should I try it? What's good about
Sweden, home to hot blondes, dead Vikings, and the Swedish chef.
Oh wait, it auto started.
Now, add another thing to this list.
Oh, hot blondes, dude.
Sweden.
I'm noticing a theme here of like these like. I mean, I get mostly just like sort of like middle-aged to older white and Jewish guys who are like, oh yeah, we love these countries when they're these hot babes in bikinis. Oh,
is now the proud owner of the title, the great capital of Europe.
No, this is too much. I can't. Oh man.
Sweden has always had a reputation.
I believe that clip that they just showed, where it was like that clip of the violence that happens there, I don't think that's in Sweden. I think that's in frickin' like, isn't that like of an encounter that happened like with a police officer in like Brazil or something? Or am I like misremembering things or like something like that? I feel like this is not Sweden.
Sweden has always had a reputation of being a harmonious and liberal.
All right, so you want me to play What Women Want by Luke Ford? I can definitely play that. Play Luke Ford, difference between Sephardim and... I like this song. Let's see, in the chat, people were saying he has Gary Shandling lips. Secular Quranism, get woke and read Torah. Yeah, that's what I'm trying. That's the goal. Limperialism, yeah. Yeah, it's in Brazil, dude. Yeah, it's in Brazil. Exactly. Like, I knew it. That was in Brazil or something like that. All right. Let's listen to Rabbi Ravs. Why are we doing this?
This week is sports fans.
Kisabo. This week's parsha is Kisabo.
Kisabo.
You say it?
Kisabo.
This week's Torah portion, Parashah, is Kitavo.
ZZ Torah.
Let's talk about this first. for a
ZZ
minute.
Torah.
Why do you insist on using pronunciations?
That's how I was brought up.
Oh, your rabbi who converted you is Sfard?
No, but that's like Dennis Prager said, the Sephardic pronunciation is superior.
No, you need to say it in this lispy way. Say it like this: Shabbos. Shabbath, okay? No one wants Shabbat, okay? Shabbat is when you go in for a handshake and it's all firm, all right? You want a nice limp, floppy handshake like Shabbath. Let's play.
So your rabbi is Dennis Prager.
Yeah.
So your rabbi is good with driving on Shabbos.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But no, you're supposed to turn the radio off. Like, you're supposed to keep Shabbos in your car.
let me ask you this. Are you Ashkenaz or Sfard?
Yes.
Neither. Well, actually, probably he is whatever he is in the tradition he converted in. But like in terms of like historic ethnic groups, I mean, I don't even know what he would be considered. But let's go.
Let me drop.
I haven't really.
Let me drop some knowledge on you.
Okay.
Oh boy, dropping now.
The way it works is we tend to follow the converting rabbi. So if your converting rabbi
Yeah,
was
that's what I thought.
Ashkenaz,
Yeah, he was.
so then you will become Ashkenaz.
Yeah.
Now there could be a variation
I like Rabbi Ravs because he's very bouncy, like myself.
on that, but once you pick
Yeah.
your derech, you know who you are, you have to stay with that.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I have to say Sukkot. I can still say Sukkot.
No, it doesn't. It's like saying, pick a thing like chair, right?
It's like saying I can marry Rachel, but I can't fool around with Leah.
No. It's like mispronouncing something, expecting you've mispronounced the word. Because the only people who can say Sukkot are people who are Sfard or Israeli. But since you're not Sfard,
Israeli.
it's Kisavo. It's Sukkos, right? Otherwise, you're mispronouncing it. You're pronouncing it like a Sfard, but you're not Sfard. So it's just a mispronunciation. It's a miss. Okay? It's like you shot at the free throw line and you missed. Okay? So if you're Ashkenaz, the only way you can...
See, I love that. That's the very See, like the family I was raised in is not like that at all, and that's something that a lot of Jews. I mean, you could say Mediterraneans more generally, Middle Easterners more broadly, yeah. But like a lot of Jews I've dealt with, some of them, especially like ones of like Eastern European descent, or some of the ones who are from like different backgrounds, kind of from mine. They're my like the majority, and they're a more common type than I am, I'd say, amongst overall Jews in America. But they can have this very forward way where they'll be like, you messed up, and it's like I used to deal with people like that, and I actually, when I crossed paths with them, I was like, why are these people so rude? I felt offended to some degree. I somewhat felt hurt, and I had to train myself to sort of deal with that. And that's what's funny is I was but now I like it and I enjoy it and I see the playful beauty in it, and it's good. It has illustrative quality.
can score free throws and consider it pronouncing correctly is with an Ashkenaz pronunciation. Otherwise, you mispronounced it. If you were Sephardi or Persian, right? If you were some Persian dude, right? Like your name was like Musabi.
Yeah.
Musabi Nagaragan Rasananian.
Yeah.
Right? And I was with Musabi. Well, you were sitting right here.
He's talking about Maghrebi with North African Jewish names, really, with some stuff like that, probably. Musasi and stuff like that. Yeah, that's more like North Africa.
And I'd have to wear a lot of. Notice how they wear a lot of perfume.
Yeah, and you drive a BMW.
I wear a lot of cologne. Hey,
okay,
not cool.
Then you would say it's Parashat Kitavo, and I would go, okay, go ahead, Wojciech. Right?
Okay, this weekend is Parashat Kitavo.
But since you're not, and you're just like, Levi Ford from, the set of...
What Women Want.
It's Kisavo. All right, so I've said that.
Okay, so either way, it's Deuteronomy 26 to Deuteronomy 29.
All All right, let's not watch why cockroaches are so hard to kill by Insect Insider or whatever. Modi. Oh, I was thinking it was going to be like Narendra Modi or something like that. Could be interesting. Oh my gosh. All right, let's see what Luke Ford is going to say about Sephardic and Ashkenazi Jews. Oh man.
So,
this is going to be an instant classic. Does anyone have any video suggestions? Someone in the chat post a video suggestion. Yo, Levi, what's on your mind?
Nothing much, dude. Just a little stoned. Watching your stream.
Alright, so let's see. Alright, Luke Ford. See, someone in the chat's like, the bearded Semitic aesthetic has become kitsch. Yeah, maybe. It has been since Santa Claus, but dude, no. Now it's good again because it's an ephemeral, eternal thing. It's just the pendulum swing, you know. It'll never go away. It's an eternal look, and really, if you just if you rock it right, you know, that's what's up. If you just need to ride the New York subways, come between Brooklyn and Manhattan on a L train on a late night, you see lots of kind of ambiguous ethnic guys with big beards, such as myself, and it feels good,
dude.
That's what's up.
Can Payos ever not be like super gay and feminine looking though?
No,
like they look like pigtails, man.
No, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like, this is something I've actually thought about in the past, and I think it could be done, but like, one would need to put effort into it. Someone like Dunuas, I think it's interesting. I mean, I don't know. Also, like Payos, why can't Payos just be integrated into the beard? That's the
right.
thing. You don't need to twirl them necessarily. Like, you can
that would look cool.
You can literally just integrate the Payos into the beard, and then it's just big sideburns. And I've even like when I was backpacking. First, when I went to wilderness therapy ages ago, and I was in there for like 3 months, and then after that, when I was backpacking, and I developed a similar large beard when I was in Dixie State National Forest for about 2 to 3 months, and yeah, it can look fine. I mean, you just need to sort of integrate it into one unit of consolidated facial hair, pull it downwards. Or
yeah,
downwards and forwards. See, I think I like it when the tip of the beard should be focused on. See, what Luke Ford is doing here is not exactly what I'm a big fan of. I think the tip of the beard should be consolidated. Tip of the beard should be consolidated, and I think it looks nice when it's squared off a bit, rounded off, you know, squared off, or when one consolidates it to sort of a little point, like to a pointed tip. Or sort of you can wax or oil it down so it's consolidated in one little tip, and you can even like give it a little twist around. I think that's a nice look. Babs ate cactus thinking it was Payos. Payos? Payos! Yeah, Payos. Brilliant. Alright, Payos. He seems like he likes the Mediterranean or Semitic culture of hospitality. Yeah, I love that. And I hate the Anglo or Northern European GTFO off my property. It used to be forbidden to shave your hair in East Asian Confucian culture too. Good. And there was actually this study, and I'm not sure if this is pseudoscientific garbage or what, but there was this study that said that long hair, you know, they cut the long hair of indigenous American peoples, and they upon their hair being cut, they lost some sort of like tracking ability, or lost a lot of their visual spatial memory abilities, or something like that. Or they weren't able to do those things as well. And that was interesting. And I mean, it's not something I don't think that's been replicated or anything, but it's an interesting idea. And I talked to a European pagan, modern person, who said that like ancient European pagans had like similar beliefs. So that's interesting. But so yeah, maybe don't cut your hair. Or your beard, something like that. Or don't cut it hastily. You know, think before you cut. I blame modern technologies for all the problems. All the issues now are capitalism. Yeah. Someone saying in the chat, here, people shouldn't be able to travel fast or so easy anywhere they want. Is one even really Jewish if they don't rock the side locks like David? I don't know. Well, I think that I could grow side locks out right now. Would I then be really Jewish? It wouldn't take me very long at all. I know that from experience. My hair grows incredibly fast. Let's see. Don't cut. Someone said, "Don't cut your hair" comes from Samson. I don't think it necessarily comes from Samson. I think that these are sort of perennial human constant tropes. And when you see something that, you know, reoccurs again and again and again, you know, there's one approach where it's like, well, this idea has to have originated somewhere in one place. And then there's another approach where it's like, you know, maybe these are sort of perennial archetypal human things. And why is this? You know, why might this be? Is it something innate about the human condition? Is it sort of the spiritual thing? Is it, or is it like, you know, there was at some point, you know, it's some sort of commonality that, and then there was a convergence from that point, and then there were parallel evolutions. Claire Core says Luke is obsessed with status, and he knows converting to Judaism will give him status even amongst anti-Semites. Fake Chinaman. I was really annoyed you deleted that stream. Alright, so, yeah, this is an epic. This is epic. I think Claire would love this stream because,
down in an argument,
especially the beginning part, because I was going heavy on some talking points that she likes.
Your opponent's racist. It's like Dennis Prager points out that liberals have all these terms that just are designed to stop all discussion. You just use your.
This means that Luke is about to basically shit talk Sephardic Jews. Is effectively what he's trying to prelude. Give a nice little prelude here.
Just cut off conversation. That's what I'm thinking about back in June, all the Haredi riots in Israel about the forced integration of an Ashkenazi, very religious Orthodox day school, and there were all these liberal Jews, even centrist Jews, and even somewhat traditional Jews, like waving around that this is racism on the part of the people who want to maintain their standards at their very religious Ashkenazi school. What I mean by very religious, so religious that all the families that go to it do not have a connection to the internet and do not have a television. Those are the standards at this school. So Brad Hirschfield, who works for Klal, like, you know, waves around that, oh, I got an Orthodox rabbinic ordination. And
Will Truth in the chat says, long hair having power is as ancient as the tale of Gilgamesh. Yeah, and probably even more ancient than that.
Orthodox Jews don't look to people like Brad Hirschfield. He doesn't have much in common with the Orthodox world. He has no authority in the Orthodox world, but he gets to call himself an Orthodox rabbi. He wasn't able to do that. He'd be just another left-winger calling for tolerance. What makes him special is his Orthodox ordination. He's just waving around.
Yeah, speaking of that, sorry to interrupt, that incident that Luke was talking about, that shit pissed me off when I read that news story. That was crazy, and that was one area where the Israeli Supreme Court actually really stepped up.
The Israeli Supreme Court are usually the worst, in my opinion.
They are
the worst elements of within Israeli society, probably stemming back from the fact that their sheer existence is basically this kind of like Western, European kind of liberal construct, which really ought not to be in Israel in the first place. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, actually, no. As far as I know, the main judge behind the ruling was not Ashkenazi. He might have been, but he looked like it, but I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, basically, like, there was this school that, like, the Ashkenazi administrators refused to, like, fully integrate or something like that, and it was, like, a huge controversy, and, like, there was a lot of conflict, and, yeah, that, and the Israeli Supreme Court basically said, like, no, like, we're going to forcefully integrate the school if we have to, and I actually appreciated that they took that stance.
Forcefully integrate what school, and why do you think that it's a good stance to take?
Because I don't think that maintaining those divisions is really healthy for the country. Like, maintaining both an Ashkenazi or Sephardic identity, I think it's better if they melt into. I mean, I'm still
I think it's better
Zionist, you know?
I think it's better if Ashkenazi melts into Mizrahi and Sephardic identities, really, and Sephardic melts into Mizrahi, and ultimately it just needs to go sort of to this kind of like Hebraic thing. What I think is a failed project, as is demonstrated by the present state of Israeli culture, is we'll all melt into one thing, and that is the new Jew, the remaking of the Jew as this European nationalist.
I like that idea. Well, except minus that last part, but yeah. I still like the idea
because that's the European
one
nationalist archetype. It's distinctly trying to remake the Jew as this we'll be basically Western style nationalists and adopt the trappings of Europe. We'll be like this Western kind of fascist or socialist nation in Israel. And I think that the problem there is, the people who were proponents of those ideas, they wanted to, as in their own writings, they wanted to, quote, de-Levantine Jews spiritually,
Right.
which I think is a failed
I feel like that project could still be achieved without de-Levantinize. Like, if there's kind of a merger, I don't know how it would be achieved exactly, but if somehow the cultures can be, like, fused, like, I'm still kind of an old school Zionist in that way, and that I do think that project is achievable, and the country is moving toward it. And it definitely, because Mizrahim were the majority, like, there's obviously a Mizrahi kind of bent to it, but, like, there's still a sufficient admiration of like both cultures going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
Like, do you think that there are elements worth salvaging in Ashkenazi culture? Because I definitely think there are. I think there's good.
Like, just extract all of the cultural products, take them, and use them, like, functionally, but, like, aesthetically necessarily. I mean, klezmer music is nice. But I think that,
music is nice,
like, there's some plays and stuff, but really a lot of what Ashkenazi culture is effectively just riffing on European culture from what is increasingly less and less sort of like a distinctly sort of Hebraic or Levantine or Jewish stance, and increasingly just from a generic outsider stance. So yeah, a lot of it. I mean, this is what I describe as using painting with a Western paints on a Western easel on a Western palette. But so even if the painter is not Western, it's I don't know. But go ahead, make your defense.
I do think that good, like, whichever good qualities and traits were picked up along the way by Ashkenazim, like, in diaspora, I think they should be retained. I think, like, empiricism, for instance.
Okay, yeah.
Really
here's where I agree with you is, like, yeah, this is what I was saying earlier when I said the functional stuff. Like, yeah, in terms of, like, the functional stuff. Even if you look at it like human capital, like the raw, like the IQ that's been cultivated, quote unquote, by the selection process that Ashkenazim, underwent, or the what do you call it? Like some of the inventions that Jews have made in the West, for instance, the technical inventions and innovations and scientific theories and mathematical theories and stuff like that. Definitely, like, take that stuff back. I'm just not sure how much of the sort of cultural baggage, should be preserved necessarily outside of a museum or small subcultures.
There's other things too, I think, like legalism, or like kind of obsession with law and rules. Like, I think that is a very efficient way to govern a country. I don't know if that is specifically derived from Europe, though. So I don't want to, like, pin that specifically on Ashkenazim, but
Hold on, my mic is too loud. I'm turning it down. So I'm going to go back to video. I mean, I have a lot of thoughts on that. I mean, that is a very much a Jewish thing. You could say that's a Jewish Western thing, but you see that there's a Talmudic tradition kind of like that outside of that. And then you can say, oh, look at the Hammurabi law codes and stuff like that. I mean, I'm really not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure one way or another. So I'm not really going to challenge your assertion or agree with it. I'm just going to play the video.
Yeah, you'll see what I'm talking about. I read Brad Hirschfield's book on tolerance. I thought it was fine, but then I read this latest blog post, and the way he writes about himself on bradhirschfield.com. Acclaimed author, lecturer, rabbi, and commentator on religion, society, and pop culture, Brad Hirschfield offers a unique perspective on the American spiritual landscape, on political, social trends to audiences nationwide. What kind of rabbi writes about himself like that? He calls himself acclaimed. Why not leave that to others? He calls himself a leader for pluralism and interfaith dialogue. You learn that he's featured in the acclaimed film Freaks Like Me and in the acclaimed TV series Building Bridges, Abrahamic Perspectives on the World Today. This guy ever stopped acclaiming himself, he might have time to study Torah. So click the link, check out my analysis of his coverage of the Haredi riots in Israel in June of 2010. See, the important differences between Sephardim and Ashkenazim in these instances are that religious Ashkenazi Jews are protesting not matters of race but of religion. The Sephardic practice of Judaism is dramatically different from the Ashkenazi practice of Judaism. With few exceptions, Ashkenazi Orthodox practice is more rigorous. The Ashkenazi Haredim, the very religious ones, with few exceptions, practice a far more demanding form of Judaism than do their Sephardic counterparts. So these religious Ashkenazi Jews, with good reason, don't want their children contaminated by secular or comparatively secular people. They want to maintain very high.
This is where he messes up. You're wrong. You're wrong, Ford. All right, listen. This is where Ford is. This is where Ford, I think, totally messes up. Is he's interpreting things as, and this is where Jews mess up. You know, especially Jews coming from this Ashkenazi hyper rule-based mindset that's been kind of accumulated, where it's like they just simply view, and this isn't exclusive to Ashkenazi Jews. Like there are Syrian Jews, for instance, are very much like this, but they view, you know, the more rules you have, the more restrictions you have, the more pious you are. Keep in mind, most of these canonized rules and restrictions and whatnot that people will say, this is the truest Judaism, the most authentic. This was tacked onto Judaism, you know, sometimes as recently as 1, 2, 3, or 400 years ago by some rabbi, and is often disputed by some other rabbi and another rabbi and another. And it's an ongoing dialogue. So I think that the characterization of, I mean, maybe in this instance, these particular two groups that Luke's talking about in the story, one may be more religious and the other is less religious in actuality, or more secular, less religious. I think that, you know, just because you follow more rules doesn't mean you're, oh, look at me, I follow all the rules and I follow the most restrictions, therefore I am the most pious. I think that that's a kind of a false thinking trap that's a lot of Orthodox Ashkenazi Jews or Orthodox sort of mainstream Pharisaic Talmudic Jews get sucked into, and it's I think it's somewhat faulty thinking, but maybe I'm wrong about that.
Babs.
What do you think?
Yeah, so just more details on this story. Basically, like the adoption of like Haredi customs by Mizrahi and Sephardic Jews is fairly recent historically.
Yeah, I know, and I absolutely detest it. It's aesthetically,
right. Well, that's why there's been
it's cancer.
Yeah.
First and foremost, aesthetically, it's cancer. It's culturally corrosive, and it's like, you know, we can be secular, and we can be secular, and we can have the sort of like soft, kind of secular, white supremacist, Eurocentric Israeli culture, or we can be religious, and we can have a sort of Eurocentric, pseudo white supremacy forced on us that way. I mean, it's cultural erosion or cultural erosion. Take your pick. So a lot of them sort of settle for these kind of middle path. They affiliate mostly with kind of national, religious, and
yeah,
kind of like,
and that's a better block anyway.
But at the same time, even that is also, you know, at this point, their identities have already been stripped from them by the former and latter processes, as well as the sort of kind of secular socialist ideal, which was also Eurocentric, white supremacist, and de-Levantizing. So it's really horrible.
I think you might underestimate the degree to which
I mean Europe. I mean like European supremacists.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Like quote unquote white.
But,
technically, you know, Jews, Lebanese people, many people in Iraq are like quote unquote white insofar as they're like, you know, if they were walking down the street in America, people would be like, oh, that's a white guy. And a black person, if he was talking to them in a rude way, would be like, hey, yo, white boy, or some shit like that. You know, they're white in that sense, but they're not white. When I say white, I mean European. But go ahead.
Fuck. I'm so high. Sorry about this.
No, this is actually great content.
Something about. Oh yeah,
you're actually better than usual right now.
Basically, you might underestimate the degree to which, like, Mizrahim and Sephardim, like, genuinely want to join, like, movements like the National Religious Movement. Like, that they might not even see it as a kind of abandonment of, like, an old. I don't know. I think that we have to allow, because
they don't, because it's probably the most authentic. It's the most authentic, and it has the most room for that. It's the most close to a sort of. It's like if it's the least explicitly kind of like effectively Eurocentric anti-Ashkenazi thing, and it's like at this point, anti-Mizrahi. At this point, like Mizrahi and Sephardic Jews, like we don't have that much more culture to be destroyed. Like we don't have anything left, basically at this point.
I would argue that that's not true, because I think that we're so it's like
we are so like out of touch with our own culture, both in Israel and in America. Maybe this is only true of the more like upper socioeconomic status ones like myself, so maybe I'm like kind of projecting, but I think that it's like you know, it's like at the point where like, you know, the current national religious movement is coming into full force, like Likud, like, you know, they'll just see themselves as, well, I'm an Israeli. I'm just an Israeli. I'm just an Israeli and I'm a Jew. I'm an Israeli and I'm a Jew. I'm a Masorti Jew, or I'm a secular Jew. And I believe in God, and I'm a Jew, and I'm an Israeli. And, I do my job, and I love the military, and I'm a patriot. And they have believed in this sort of like Israeli identity. But at the same time, the Israeli identity is, it's kind of like, it's a mix, I guess one could say. But ultimately, it's sort of like implicitly pulling things kind of in that direction. Although that is beginning to change. But I do see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know that's. I don't know. To me, that sounds like a very healthy identity. Like I also think you might underestimate the degree to which like the Sephardic culture does actually emerge at the like for instance, in the music scene, like it's all Mizrahi music, and like the food is like all like from the Middle East, and like there's all sorts of other like aspects of the culture that have
exactly. It seeps back in because that is our damn culture, and even Ashkenazi Jews are now coming around to realize that it once was their culture. Even if they're not realizing that, they're implicitly accepting it as such by virtue of the fact that it's now gaining mainstream popularity in Israel once again, and Israel's culture is re-Levantizing for the first time in thousands of years as an autonomous polity.
Yeah, basically, like my take is like it doesn't really have to be forced. I think these things just kind of happen organically, like I think that I mean, I don't know what goes through the head of the average like Sephardic Jew in Israel, but like have you watched Corey Schuster's videos? Like when he interviewed people, I love that channel. Yeah,
they're always painfully that channel annoys me just because it reminds me how painfully low IQ people are, and it's not like, and it's like, don't get like when I say people, I mean literally like people in general. It's like when I watch channels of like interview Americans on the street or interview Japanese people on the street or anything like that, like I usually have a similar reaction. But the thing that's different about this is that Israelis and Middle Easterners in general, actually, same with the Ask Arabs, the Middle Easterners are generally quite brash.
Quite what? I missed that.
Than a general populace anywhere else around the world, but they're generally quite brash.
Hey, I lost you again. Hello? Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hey. Yo.
Hey, so yeah, I'm just quickly making myself something to eat before I go back to reviewing videos or something. Do you have any or reviewing Leaps Forwards? If you have any comments on this on that particular story, feel free to make them.
No, I think that's basically...
What is the story Ford was talking about? Just outline it again?
So as far as I know... Okay, well, there were two incidents. There was one incident, I think it was in 2011, when basically, like, this school was de facto, like, being segregated by, like, Ashkenazim and Sephardim, like, into those two groups. And the government, the Israeli government, basically mandated that it be integrated. And I think they ended up arresting several parents because like they refused to like let their kids mix in with them or so. I don't remember the exact details, but yeah, basically it became a huge story in the country, and the Supreme Court got involved in shit. And then there was another case of Haredi. It was pretty minor. But there were riots by Ashkenazi Haredim and Sephardi Haredim. They basically like got into a brawl because like there were some yeshiva like dropouts, Sephardic dropouts in the Ashkenazi neighborhood.
I bet the Sephardic dropouts beat the shit out of the Ashkenazi scholars or whatever they were.
I think the situation was, as I understand it, though, the issue was less about like ethnic tension, and there was more like other factors involved. Yeah. Like,
because I just want to say, like, Sephardic Jews are different. Like Mizrahi Jews are generally more like Ashkenazi Jews in the sense that we're like little kind of like effete cerebral boys, whereas like Sephardic Jews
can get like big and like warriorish, you know, like
Yeah.
they are like more chatish, you know. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, that's what troubles me the most about the heretic world is like it's the area where I see, because outside of it, from what I can tell, like there's really no major divisions. But then in the heretic world, everything is like so tightly like insulated, and it just seems really toxic. So I don't know. It's a very startling trend. But anyway,
I don't know, dude. It sounds really toxic. Dude, I'm toasting an English muffin right now. Hold on. I'm literally walking back to the other room to get to so I can do the video. Just wait. Okay, almost there. Almost there. Okay. Here I'm back.
Okay, what's up?
High standards. That's why in Los Angeles, many Ashkenazi Orthodox Jews don't want to send their kids to Jewish schools with lots of Persians or Sephardic Jews, because the Persians and the Sephardim in Los Angeles tend to be less religious than Orthodox Ashkenazi Jews.
Yeah, I think that he is kind of correct-ish about that point. Anyway, yeah, that's the video. All right. Although I would say that even within the, like the idea of quote-unquote Orthodox Judaism or Haredim or Hasidim, these are things that Ashkenazi Jews made up. Like it's not like there was this authentic vision of Jews as, like this little group of little cloistered off kind of hyper rule abiding people who all wore penguin suits, and they like lived in this very kind of like specific way. It's like, no, like there were just Jews, and there were more pious Jews, and there were less pious Jews, and it was a gradient, and that's kind of how it was largely perceived among Sephardic and Mizrahi Jews, at least as far as I know about them, from my experience.
you know what's interesting is
And also,
basically,
that's how it also was in ancient Israel. It wasn't like there's this group of Jews who are the super hyper religious. I mean, it was like that, but it's not like there's a logical continuation of that group into modern day Haredi Jews necessarily. It was really just sort of a reaction to the other. It was something that evolved, like the modern kind of penguin stuff. But sorry, go ahead. I'm sure Judas would disagree and Duvid would disagree, but
yeah, what's interesting is that Ashkenazi Jews in Israel are known to be either hyper-religious or like hyper-secular. So they're basically on like either end of that spectrum, and then Sephardic Jews are kind of in between.
yeah. Song is called New Day. So, does anyone else have any videos that they would like us to watch? Because I can't think of any videos.
So, when in doubt in an
I'm
argument,
looking for things to watch, funny things to watch, roast. Your hearts are full of lust, anger, pride, greed, and sloth. Oh, no. None of that. My heart is full of sloth, therefore I keep telling myself that I'll do it next time is the time that I'll actually finally disable that alarm system. Just tell it to stop going off at that time every day. Let's see. So let's see. While we wait for... Chris says, anything from this channel is unbelievably insane. Just discovered it. Which channel? Are you talking about mine? Prepare to be underwhelmed. My channel isn't that interesting, but, I can't think of a video. Yeah, we shan't be having any of that alarm clock noise. Please, someone just... Oh, What Women Want. That's what we're watching. What Women Want. So there's an audience request. Tonight's audience request night, and we're watching What Women Want by Luke Ford. By Luke Ford, PhD in women. A PhD in What Women Want. He has a degree in What Women Want. Chris, the link didn't go through. The link didn't go through. Just name it. Or I could make you mod. I could just mod everyone who's in chat right now. Okay. Because I don't have any mods for this channel. No, that would be a lot of effort though. What is it? No. Just name the video. Name the video. Listen to Nazbol Gang and Argent discuss China. Okay, I will do that after. No, name it. Hiding in my room. Oh, I think I've seen this channel before. Oh yeah, I'm subbed to this guy. I'm subbed to this guy on one of my other channels because I saw a video or two of his and it looked interesting. I'm not sure what video of his I should watch. Yeah, he seems like an interesting guy. Alright, let's see why he feels irritated when people call him Asian. No. Dear Click, you can play your stupid audio on my channel when you pay me. Don't call me Asian.
Hello. I get kind of irritated when people call me Asian. And that's not because I have anything against Asian people. I love Asian people. Asian people have the best looking women on the planet. But I get a lot of comments from people asking me things like, am I Japanese? Why do I speak with a British accent? And I thought I'd just make a video to clear things up and to tell you why I don't like being described as Asian. The number one reason why I don't like being described as Asian is because I'm not Asian. If you describe me as Asian, it's like describing me as a white person. I'm not white, I'm not Asian, I'm mixed. So you can't really describe me as an Asian person when I'm only half Asian. And I know what a lot of people think. They think because I look Asian,
yeah, well, I do see what he's saying. Yeah. I see what he's saying. And I mean, does he quote look Asian? Because I think my guess is if he was walking around Asia, he would probably get people calling him something that isn't, whatever his East Asian or whatever it is half is from. If he was walking around in, his country, wherever that side is from, as opposed to wherever his European side is from, he would probably just be getting the inverse set of comments. Let's go back to the video.
Therefore I am Asian. But that logic is flawed because it's like saying a stick insect looks like a stick, so it is a stick. No, a stick insect is an insect. It's like saying a whale looks like a fish, so it's a fish. No, whales are mammals. My point is, just because something looks like something doesn't mean it is something. If I was Asian, I would have no problems with being described as an Asian person. The thing is, I'm not Asian, and I don't like being described as something that I'm not. For example, if people started describing me as a gay person, I wouldn't be happy about it, not because I'm homophobic, but because I'm not gay. Look, I'm from England. I have a bathrobe with a British flag. Some people are kind of racist about this. They say, you're not white, so you can't be British. And I think that's just really ignorant, and my lips look really dry. Some people claim that just because I'm not white, I'm not British, and that's sort of rubbish. Just because you're not white doesn't mean you're not British. There are non-white British people in Britain. It's a multi-ethnic state where there are different ethnicities of people. There's black British people, there's Asian British people, among white British people. I just find it strange that Western people can't tell the difference between me, a half Asian person, and a fully Asian person.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just probably is just, I guess, I mean, it's sort of like one's own bias and just sort of, I guess, just like ignorance. Because, I mean, most people aren't autists like me who, like get into conversations with people about like where their ancestors are from because I find it interesting, or study anthropology, or when I was like 15 looking up those like fake face phenotype things of like the Arminid and the Nordid and all this crap. It's like I mean most people don't do that, and most people also don't have a chance to travel much. I've traveled a fair amount and have gotten a chance to see like what different people look like in different places, and I've also had the pleasure and displeasure of living in a lot of large urban centers where you get people from all over the world and with backgrounds from all over the world living there. So, but I understand what he's saying. But yeah, like if I saw him, like when I first saw him, I was going to say like, yeah, he's a Central Asian, literally, or or he's a Hapa. I thought like naturally when I first saw him, I was like, he's a Hapa, or he's a Central Asian if he is any sort of actual. But because I saw this video and I was like, okay, so he must be making this video. He gets irritated because people call him Asian because he is a Central Asian or something like that. But no, it's because he's a half. But so yeah, I think that I don't know. Would you get irritated if someone called you European because you're like probably half to 60% European genetically, despite the fact that you've got like black hair and clearly have like some Middle Eastern features? Levi, would you get irritated if someone called you European?
Well, I basically saw myself as white/European for most of my life, so it wouldn't have fazed me. I mean, yeah, I'm not necessarily bothered. I'm pretty indifferent to that label, I guess you could say.
Would you get irritated if someone called you Middle Eastern because you're part Western in the West?
No, I once I've been identified that way, but most of the time I haven't. And either way, I don't really give that much of a shit. Like this guy's just has weird identity problems. I think people who have identity problems are more sensitive to being mislabeled, I guess.
Chris Level 100 says the detached way he talks about being in thoroughly dysfunctional relationships is what captivated me, which is the same thing that brought them to Luke Ford's channel. And yeah, I know those videos you're talking about. That's actually how I first found his channel, is talking about some kind of weird personal experiences that he had. So yeah. This is Pill Eater's Asian Aryan Future. Here. Who's that girl who's half a Chinese and Anglo who makes money from videos? Roaming Millennial? Yeah, Roaming Millennial. But yeah, so this is an interesting video. I'll go back. Wait, hold on. I do want to see what he says more. But yeah, I can understand why he says this, but I think that this probably has to do with the fact that, especially like East Asian features, like it's like in the chat, someone's saying like if you know what to look for, you'll see that he clearly has like slightly Western features. But like if you're kind of like I mean, when like people say like, oh, all people who are like I mean, it's like really like I'm surprised sometimes by the inability of people to like distinguish between like gradients. Like usually it's like white Americans and black Americans, but like a lot of just people in general seem to have trouble with this, where it's like they can't tell the difference between someone who's half something or a quarter something. Like usually you can tell stuff like this, kind of get a good gist for it. But again, like, I'm just
fully Asian guy.
So
it looks completely different to what I look like. Now, a lot of people claim that I don't have any white features, so like I don't look white, or they think I'm fully Asian just because I don't have any white features, and that's not true. If you look closely at my face, there's quite a lot of white features that you can see.
Yeah, no, he definitely.
For example,
has
number one, if I take my glass off,
Definitely.
my eyes are quite big compared to a fully Asian person. The reason why my eyes look smaller is because I have glasses and the lens makes my eyes look smaller than they actually are. Also, my second point is my hair isn't as black as a proper Asian person's hair is. Asian people tend to have jet black hair. My hair is dark brown, and it gets lighter depending on the light source or how bright it is outside. You may also note that I have slightly wavy hair. I don't have that really straight hair that Asian people tend to have. And
oh, are you kidding?
Freedom
Really? I mean,
has
sweaty naked man. Come on. It's just awful, isn't it? Every 3 videos, go look at a sweaty naked man. Oh, wonderful.
And having wavy hair has always been something I hated. I
That's
also have a
you
double
get upset when you're misidentified.
But then again, a lot of Asian people
I actually would have made that mistake if I didn't know better.
Misidentified? It depends. Usually not really. Because like that's just kind of like what it is, that's just everything is getting misidentified or people trying to identify you and whatnot, and that's just sort of life, especially in a place like New York City. It's like white people are like, "Oh, what are you? Can I touch your hair?" And a lot of like, well, you're Jewish. Oh, obviously, so you look kind of Jewish. Are you Jewish? What are you? Are you something of this or that? And then that's like from the white people, and then at the same time, it's like, white boy, white boy, white boy, white boy for anyone who has a shred of melanin in them. Any semblance of anything within like if you're a pale-skinned Caucasoid, you're basically just white boy. So it's what I grew up with.
Yeah, you look like whiter than me, honestly. Like I would never have guessed that you were Mizrahi.
Yeah, well, I would not necessarily have guessed that you were Ashkenazi. You could be anything. You could be Ashkenazi, Sephardic, or Mizrahi. Your features are you just sort of you could be any of the above. I'm gonna play. Hold on. Yeah, exactly. He has the Western brow ridge. I agree.
wife. And if you can see my eyeball, it is fairly light brown compared to Asian people who usually have very dark brown, nearly black eyes. Can you see? And I've also been told that my eyeballs have a tint of green. I'm not sure if you can see it.
Like this.
My camera's shit. But also from the side, my profile, you can see my nose protrudes quite a lot.
Kind of like strange.
You can see my nose is kind of.
It's strange.
I think if you look at my nose from the side, I'm not sure how we.
And just the face.
If you look at my nose from the side, you can see it points out quite a bit. And this isn't something that you would
like that of a Central
typically
Asian
see in an Asian guy's face. Now, I don't want people to misunderstand. I'm not trying to boast about my white features. I don't want to become a white person. I'm not standing here saying, look at my pointy nose, my brown eyes, my brown hair. No, the point of this video is to show you that I'm not fully Asian and I do have some white features. I just want people to recognize me as a half Asian, half white guy instead of an Asian guy, because I'm not an Asian guy. I can type in the word Asian into my comment section and search for the word Asian. I get loads of comments of people saying I look like the Asian Max Mofo, or the Asian someone, the Asian Ezra Miller, the Asian Eddie Roger, the Asian Leafy. I even got called the Asian Onision. Not because I look like Onision, but because for some reason some people associate me with an Onision because I talk about personal things. Okay, so anyone who talks about anything personal, they're automatically like Onision. A lot of rubbish. So for the next part of the video, I would like to show you my DNA test results, which I got a couple years ago. Now, I think the situation is, we have a situation where there's a lot of Westerners commenting and watching my videos, and to your typical Westerner who maybe doesn't have much interaction with Asian people, maybe you live in a country where you don't see many Asian people. So when you see my face, which does have Asian features, I'm not going to lie about that, I do.
Exactly, this is what I was saying earlier.
My Asian features stand out more to you as a Westerner than my Western features do, because
yeah, he's completely correct. This is where he's...
My Western features are less noticeable than a fully Western white person. But if you ask someone who lives in Asia, who grew up in Asia surrounded by Asian people, and you ask him or her if I look very Asian to them, they're going to say, no, I look mixed, or I look Western, or I look more Western than an Asian person does. I remember when I went to Taiwan, and Taiwanese people kept commenting on how pointy and big my nose was, which is kind of weird. When I met Tomoko, she even said I looked white, which is just kind of ridiculous, but I think you get my point. I think people are just bad in general at observing faces that they're not used to seeing. And there's nothing wrong with that. I can't tell the difference between a white French guy and a white German guy. I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a black guy and a half black and half Asian guy. Anyway, let's move on to the DNA test results. Hello and welcome to my DNA test results that I got about 2 years ago. I got it from this website called 23.
Okay, so this is interesting.
And me. Cost about £120. I remember the time when I took the test.
And English, British, Chinese, and British. Interesting. All right, so yeah, I might watch another one of his videos later. For now, I'm going to watch What Women Want by Luke Ford, everyone's favorite porn journalist. Porn journalist. Is this Phrenology 101? Phrenology 101.
What can a man do to create a great date? How can a man create romance? What advice would you give to men on how they can be better lovers?
It's called 11 Notes.
It's the shape. Yeah, the thing is, what people don't realize about like the Middle Eastern nose or the Jew nose or whatever, the thing that makes it unique is the shape. It's not the, it's the extended columella. It's the sort of shape. It's the different nostril shape. It's the nose shape is designed to humidify the air. It's got a different shape compared to the nose of even many like European Mediterraneans or even many like North Africans, let's say, or like and you know what, I don't know exactly how to place it, but I can always tell the difference between I can usually tell the difference between like Kurds, Armenians, and Iranians and North Indians from any group of Middle Easterners or Afro-Asiatics in general, just because the face shapes are different. Like, they have differently positioned, like, eyes. Their eyes are further apart. Their cheekbones are higher. They're, like, different forehead shapes. They just look so different. Like, I don't know what it is, but I can just pick up on things like that. And maybe I'm just, like, bullshitting right now, but I feel like I can. And I've always done pretty well with guessing things like this. What Women Want by Luke Ford. Here we go. Alright. We're going to start the video. Levi, do you have anything to say about What Women Want?
No. I have no idea what they want.
Let's find out. Luke Ford knows.
Because 90% of the time I make it pretty damn clear as to whether I want to be kissed or not. I think most women do. I think most women make it really clear. But if they don't, they're usually, I don't know, there are opportunities. There are always opportunities, and just take them. And very seldom, I like to kiss, so I won't be offended most of the time. But what makes a good kisser? Someone who doesn't ask, and you put yourself into it.
See, that's she's right there. What makes a good kisser is someone
you respond to the other person.
The problem is like
I like someone who uses their tongue.
Take a while to figure this thing out, and it's like luckily I was able to figure it out sort of like in my in my mid-teens, although that's probably like degenerate, but it's like the what's it called, like the transition and whatnot, because it's like if it's bad or badly timed or whatnot, that can be like the worst. So it's like, you know, it's kind of uncharitable when women say things like that, although she is completely correct, you know, and I can't blame her.
Not everybody's like that.
Because, you know, men can either sort of like get acculturated in this way, but like that's kind of degen, or they can not, and then that's kind of like not what women want, as it were. So it's interesting.
If you just like kissing and put your mind into it and react to the other person, I think that makes good kissing. Cheek. I'll go really slow. That's nice. That's close. You're very close by. If a person wants to kiss you at that point, it's really pretty clear. You get close to the person. You lean into the person when you're talking to them. You touch them when you talk to them. And if I really want to get physical with a guy, I usually give him a back rub. That's kind of my precursor. Back rubs.
Really?
Yeah.
What are some of the secrets to a good back rub?
Oh, let's see. The secret to a good back rub is giving it the way you'd like to get one. But the best thing to do is use as much of your palm as possible. Use as much skin as possible. And go slow and with lots of pressure. When you do it slowly. If you do it slowly with lots of pressure, you won't hurt anybody. If you go in really quick and sharply, that will hurt people. But if you do it very slowly, let's see, what else is really good? And focus on the neck and the shoulders, because that's where everyone keeps their firm.
Hard.
I'm not doing a double entendre here, but yes, I really like things
hard.
Hard. I like a really strong touch there. That's a gentle way of putting it. And I like somebody who'll come up behind me and hold me behind around my waist. I like to be held around my waist. I like let's see. Trying to be specific. I wrote all this down once upon a time, but why have I forgotten it all? Mainly someone you can talk to, and someone who can make you laugh. That's really always helpful. Personally, I would like somebody who's spiritual, and...
Okay, I just want to say right now, is Luke Ford, I was literally, like, in there preparing food, but I have to say, is Luke Ford doing this camera work? Because this is literally the most absurd stuff I've seen in my entire life. But, let's see, the Emperor says, this lady is probably in an elderly home now, wrinkly AF. Yeah, that's interesting to think. Someone says, it blew my mind when I found out Luke got into porn after converting to Judaism. Yeah, I know, that blew my mind as well. Oh, gosh. And it's just, let's see, someone said good armpits in the chat. What was it? Hold on. She does yoga and she got her lust chakras all whacked out. Yeah, that orange one, the sacral one, isn't it? I'm really not surprised that Luke is married, someone says in the chat. Hold on. What if the woman watched this video? She'd be freaked out. Luke is fucking weird. Yeah, yeah, she would. I bet. Like, I was wondering, like, isn't she aware of the fact that she's being filmed in this manner? But I mean, I guess she signed up for it when she signed up for what women want. And yeah, she said giving it the way, about back massages, giving the way you'd like to get one. That's why women fear my back rubs, because they're painful and intense, and weak women who live sedentary lives are crushed by them. Yeah, exactly. Like, the way I want to get back rubs is like, and like, I remember, like, I had this good friend who, we would like always go to the gym together and stuff like that, and we would like give each other like these and go biking. We give each other these like me and these
Jackhammer.
other guy, and then two. There were like a group of two, three or four more other guys who we'd all hang out together, and like we sounds pretty jolly and nice, doesn't it? But just fraternal brotherhood, nothing going on there. But basically, we would all give each other these like back massages, and they would have to be like super intense, like really like vicious and like with the like hard and sharp and pointy and shit. And it's like women can't tolerate that. They need to have these weak little dainty back massages. They'll be like, ooh, stop, you're hurting me. So yeah, fuck her stupid advice.
Who is kind and believes in people and has, how do you put it, wants to get married and has some values that are, again, about people and not just about making money and getting ahead in the world, getting people to do what they want. Because that's not really very important in the moment. Especially, I mean, if you're going to spend a lot of time with somebody, you want somebody who's interested in people and not just things. Spiritual? What does it mean to be spiritual? Someone who believes that everybody has a different path. There are people who believe in God, there are people who don't believe in God, there are people who just don't know and who could care less. I would like someone who believes that there is some kind of God, and has some thoughts about this, and that you know, work with mine. They
Hey, so someone in the chat pointed out that this is why you need thick women. What do you think of that?
Maybe. No, they're just as corrupted. But that's my personal stance. That's just
No, for massages. I mean, for massages.
Oh.
They can handle the intensity.
Yeah, no. You'd be surprised. They're still weak, but better. Generally can handle it better. But even then, they can't. You know, like compared to like a dude who's like doing stuff all the time. It's just like, you know, they crumble. They're weak. They're like, yeah. Even if it doesn't aesthetically seem like that would be the case, you know, it's quite surprising. But yeah, hold on. Lit Sigil says, does she really want someone who's addicted to under-earning? And someone says rituals are important too. Yeah, rituals bind tradition in the culture. Yes, that's correct. I agree. Someone, what's it called? Lit Sigil says that I'm a thick extremist. I think that's a funny phrase. It was just coined. Tom Anderson says, porn is fine with Orthodox Jews. He just got into porn after his Orthodox conversion. I'm not sure that that's the case, always. I think that I don't know. The relationship between Jews and porn is embarrassing and unnerving, and I'm not sure exactly what's at play there, but it's not pretty. In the recent years, at least. This is a fairly modern phenomenon, but, oh well. Not the niche I'd like to fall into. Alright, I'm gonna play the video.
They don't have to be the same as mine, but that they believe that there is more in life than being born, growing old and dying. I've gotten involved with guys that have not wanted the same thing that I've wanted. They have wanted just to have fun for a short period of time, or for however long that period of time was. However long, it was obviously not long enough for me. And those guys are wrong for me, in the fact that they actually go a little too far in the extreme of much of what I love, in the fact that they are so passionate about the other things in their lives that they have no time for me. And then the other extreme that is wrong is somebody who doesn't have a life, other than me and wants to spend every waking moment with me and can't think of anything but me, and I can't be someone's reason.
What was your parents' marriage like, and how does that influence the way you look at
My parents
love?
had this perfect marriage. I'll never live up to it. My parents were high school sweethearts. They met when my mother was 16 and my father was 18, and she asked him out to a Sadie Hawkins dance, and he was her brother's best friend. And they dated for 2 years, and they never slept together, although they did everything else, supposedly. And then they got married. And they waited 5 years before they had a child, which was me. And they still love each other, and they still sleep together all the time. And they have grown and changed. And they don't understand me. And the fact that I have not done that.
That's because you pursue your career.
Exactly.
So what's more important to you, a great career or a great marriage?
Oh, God. Oh, don't ask me that. I will cry. I would say that right now it's probably a career, and I hope that at some point it will flip, and I will want a marriage more, or I will be able to put a marriage alongside. I figure that's probably what I'll end up doing, is I'll end up finding somebody who...
Yo, what's fascinating about this from an anthropological perspective is I get to see, and it's kind of horrifying, like just recently watching that last sort of 30-second bit, I got this kind of pit in my stomach and realized, like, as someone who's in their late teens, early 20s, this is, I'm witnessing like what happened, you know, the generation before the generation that I consider to be adults to old people, you know, the generation before them, the one that I didn't get to see, this girl's, or this woman's rather, her parents' generation is the generation that I didn't really get to see and experience on a cultural level, but I got to see this generation, and here's where the break happened, where the problems happen. I mean, I can see this woman, like, the choice, oh, you know, well, money and career and consumerism and shackles and keeping up with the Joneses, or being a parent, you know, and it's like, this is where it all started. This is where the seeds were sown for, you know, what I have experienced as, you know, just everything. You know, this is like the origin story that I never got to see for why things are the way they are right now, the way they've been for my entire life, pretty much. I mean, and she says, you know, at some point it will flip and I'll want marriage more. I mean, look at her right now. How old is she? 30, 40. I think she looks like 40, 50 maybe even. When's she going to want to marry? 60? Will she be able to have kids then, biologically speaking? When will she want to marry? 70? 80? I mean, what? when is the generation below her going to want to marry in terms of equivalent people? And you know, it's funny because it's... And what about the generation below that? You know, what about my generation? You know, when will we want to marry? Or really, I'm thinking about like the millennials and the generation above them. The people who are in their 40s right now, people who are in their 30s right now, they're like, oh, I'm not going to get married yet. I still have so much more fun to have. I still have so much more earning to do. I still need to build my career. Well, not men and women, you know? But, I mean, and capitalism makes it difficult, don't get me wrong. as do social pressures, deliberately pushed by capitalists.
Who can work with my life and I can work with theirs. And...
It's like, Sam Hyde would destroy this broad. Yeah. I mean, it would be all too easy. All the women in the series, because effectively the format is these women are talking about, like, all of their past relationships and, you know, how basically coming, you know, even if they're not particularly choosy, like the way that Luke makes it, it invites choosiness and invites talking about past relationships. So it's just, yeah, Sam Hyde would have a field day. Yeah, they're crying inside. She looks sad in micro expressions. I wonder what the suicide rate is amongst porn stars. Yeah. Existential despair. Spooked. Luke knew he was damaged, and he was filming damaged women and being near them because of how he thought of himself and everyone spiraling down into a pit. You can see it on the faces of women and men if they've led lives of promiscuity. I hope I don't have that look. Oh God. At this age, that'd be terrible. But wouldn't be surprised.
We'll do both. That's the hope. I don't know if it's possible, but that's the hope. Dreamed that I was going to marry a guy named Paul, and he was going to be a Leo. This was a big thing for me. Don't ask me why.
What's your sign?
I'm an Aries. And I would meet him in a bar, of all things, which I would never be open to. I would never be open to meeting a guy in a bar. But in this romantic fantasy, I'm sitting there waiting, and he comes up, and he's got brown hair, and it falls in his eyes a little bit, and he wears glasses, and he's got blue eyes, and he's got this great smile, and he asks me, am I waiting for someone? And I say, yes, I am, but I've been stood up or something like that. And he sits down and he tells me about his life, and we sit and we chat, and that is the beginning of a great relationship. And then Ellen, I have a dream that I'm going to go to England to visit a very dear friend of mine, and that in England I'm going to fall in love with some guy and stay.
To give men how they can be more successful with women.
Learn to listen. That's it. Women love to talk. If you can listen and talk really sincerely and honestly to women, most women will really respond to that, because women really love to talk. They're very verbal creatures.
You miss me, family? You saying I can't support 6 kids?
Oh, that's hysterical.
Gallagher's have always attracted crazy.
Only on Showtime.
These were the dimensions of sound, sight, and abject terror.
I think you'll see how we differ.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 creepiest episodes of The Twilight Zone. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're ranking the most spooky, terrifying, and downright creepy episodes from the original run of Rod Serling's The Twilight Zone. We're keeping our focus on the darker stuff here, so if you're looking for our thoughts about the series as a whole, then please check out WatchMojo's top 10.
No, a stupid WatchMojo video about The Twilight Zone. That's not what I want to see. Hold on. Let's go back to What Women Want by Luke Ford. Alright.
What advice would you give to men on how they can be better lovers? Okay,
Luke Ford is the circus master of human folly. Luke Ford needs his own Twilight Zone episode, if you ask me. Yeah. Chris, level 1000, says... says what's really sad are Luke's interviews with girls who were still young and recently pretty into porn pretty recently. Yeah. And she or he says it's disturbing, and you can just see the death of the future the way they talk about it. Yeah. And I agree. It's like there's this one video where it's like these girls were like, or a lot of them are like this. They're like, well, I really love sex and money, and I love anal or something like that, or maybe it's less explicit, but it's like, it's just so, and I love something like this, and it's like, and it's like they're still trying, and it's like it's so weird. They still try to have some little semblances of normalcy in their life, and the way it's just so tragic. They're so in denial, but they know, but they're so in denial. Oh, it's just really, yeah, it is really tragic. It's a black plague, like someone earlier said in the chat. Alright, let's watch Luke Ford, the circus master of human folly.
What can a man do to create a great date? How can a man create romance? What advice would you give to men on how they can be better lovers? Okay, come. What qualities would you need to find in a man to seriously consider marrying him? Suppose a man wanted to get to know you, what do's and don'ts would you give him? Where would you like to go on a date? How should a man conduct himself on a date? What are the most obnoxious male traits that you run into frequently? How has your parents' view of marriage influenced your view of marriage? What is your view of marriage? How can a man create romance? What advice would you give to men on how they can be better lovers? What goes on in the ladies' room? What are the advantages of being friends with a female versus a male? Platonic male friendship versus a female friendship. Do you have more male friends or female friends? What do you mean women are catty? You like men big and hard and thrusting. How do you feel about men in tears? Is it okay for a guy to cry? What's your favorite Barry Manilow song from the 1970s? Is it Mandy? Oh, you came and you gave without taking. That I sent you away, oh Mandy. But you kissed me and stopped me from crying, 'cause I need you today, oh Mandy. I made it through the rain, and I found myself respected by the others who got rained on too and made it through.
There's something very bizarre about this video. Watching Luke Ford have like a conversation, and react and respond and laugh to this kind of like imaginary woman figure. Luke Ford is a Twilight Zone episode, says someone in the chat. This guy is having one of his manic, narcissistic episodes doing this, I bet. I agree, post-liberal age. Luke is such a tragic character. This bizarre clip of Luke Ford, you know, a very handsome young Luke Ford with like this, I don't know, boat neck shirt or whatever, just sort of parading around with this kind of like really stilted, absurd, not absurd, but like strange camera style that with all these weird, creepy face close-ups, and then you have he's just tromping around having this conversation with this imaginary woman. It's so strange. Yeah. Man. Women need the support of other women to do porn, and that's something I noticed is that all the women who do porn or semi-pornographic things, they form these little communities online, these sex work communities or whatever. Like, they just support each other, like Instagram thought communities, influencer communities. Yes, you go, girl. Yes, get that money, you know. And listen, yes, girl. Oh my God, he was so disrespectful to you. I can't believe that dude who you're selling your body to in some form or another effectively was so disrespectful to you. Ugh, you tell him, sister. You tell that disrespectful client. Sorry. You can't hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Is this better? Is this better? Yeah, of course Luke admits to being emotionally damaged. No, this isn't the guy I do my podcast shows on. I'm just a guest. I'm not even a co-host. I'm just a frequently returning guest. That's all.
So you're not impressed with my singing? What are your favorite outfits? How do they make you feel? What do you wear to make yourself feel sexy?
Yeah, and I like when Ford was like, what do women do so long in the bathroom? What do women really do in the bathroom? It's like, I bet you'd love to know, Ford. I bet you'd love to know.
What do you mean an outfit makes you feel sexy? Is that the effect it has on you, or is that the effect you think it has on men? Okay, I'm going to move over here. And help create romance. How can a man help create romance? How would you like a guy to conduct a date? Would you like him to take charge, have everything planned? Would you like him every 5 minutes to ask, oh, what do you want to do? Eucalyptus trees. Reminds me of Australia. Like the beach.
The sing-song tone of his voice.
Fun in the sun.
See, that's a sneer. That's a sneer. Hold on. Let's go back. That face. That's a sneer. That is an expression of disgust. That's a disgust expression that he's letting slip through, if I've ever seen one, where one corner of the mouth is raised. That's disgust. Revulsion.
The sun.
Or something like that is going on here. That's not an expression of attraction, you know, and of course it isn't because he's talking to a fake woman. But I don't know, maybe this can give us some little kind of like psychic portal into what's going on underneath. Or maybe this is just, you know, it's a facade, it's acting, you know, that little sneer there, but, you know, he's playing a part, but that's definitely a sneer, that's definitely a revulsion, disgust response. Or maybe like
how important is earning potential? How important is it that the guy has money? The guy's car, what does it say to you? If he drives, say, a Toyota Corolla, or a BMW, or a beat-up VW Rabbit. When do you like a guy to be strong and hard? When do you like him to be soft and sensitive? What goes on in the ladies' room? Do you have...
Wait, is the video replaying? Or did he just ask that question a second time? Hopefully the video's replaying. And he's not repeating the question about what do women do in the ladies' room. Yeah, I'm sure he'd love to know. But yeah, I agree. I do feel sorry for this Luke. He does look angry in the micro expression. Like, yeah, let's do a full psychoanalysis of Luke. Man, that, I mean, there is no full psychoanalysis. That would take lifetimes. More aggression, Luke. Yeah, Alexander Technique is his croon. It isn't that a man wondering these things that's insane. It's filming it and doing it in this way. Exactly, of course, duh. I mean, and like even phrasing it in that way in your own mind, it's just like strange. Like, I mean, one has these thoughts, but they don't. I never really even phrased them out. Like, would women rather a man be soft or strong and hard and thrusting? It's like, what? I don't know. There's something else. No, it's that Henley. It's the Henley shirt, by the way. Henley shirt. I was wrong. It's not a boat neck. Let's go.
Have more male friends or female friends? Has it always been this way? What are the advantages of, say, male friendship compared with female friendship? I agree. I completely disagree with that. Are you being honest here? Truly, you feel that way? What can a man do to create a great date? Let's suppose a guy wants to get to know you better. What are some do's and don'ts that you would give him? What are your hot spots? I remember once I was dating this woman for about 3 weeks, and then finally one evening I started working on her back. That was her hot spot. Things got very passionate after a few minutes of working on her back. So what are your hot spots? Back of the neck, the earlobe, your breasts. How come so many women have trouble orgasming? How come so many women don't have orgasms? I don't understand. Some women will have 15 orgasms in 15 minutes. With other women, you can play with them for an hour, and you can tongue them until you lose all the...
All right. Easy there, boy. Easy there. Luke admitted to not being very sexually successful when he was young. Going from that to porn must create so much resentment. He wished women were pure, but he found out they are based, just as he is. Base. That's an interesting take. Maybe. I feel like he probably had an intermediary stage, though, wherein he was attractive sort of as a young man. Maybe. Great comments from the Emperor. Women put on a fake face to make him lust in the ladies' room. Men shouldn't lead lives obsessed over women. Women have never been the drivers of history except as usurpers for a reason. Men are pathetic when they obsess over females. Agreed. Great point. You know, and I wouldn't consider, like, let's say, Helen of Troy type figures drivers of history, you know. They were just sort of static objects that it was more how others perceived them that led to the actions being taken, which drove history forwards in such events. Yeah, Luke Ford. It's Luke Ford having a conversation with an imaginary woman right now. That's what we're watching. This is how Elliot Rodger talked, someone says. Alright, let's go back to the video. Someone says, I think narcissism is a defense mechanism for him. Interesting. Maybe. Tom Anderson with a psychological take. Luke lightens up when he asks what goes on in the ladies' room. You know, he has that glint in his eyes. Luke lightens up when he asks what goes on in the ladies' room, as opposed to his expression when he's asking about it, whether she prefers a man to be strong or sensitive. Okay, that's interesting. Now let's just look at this facial expression for a second.
on your tongue for 15 minutes. And some women will have 15 orgasms in 15 minutes. With other women, you can play with them for an hour, and you can tongue them until you lose all the on your tongue, and they still won't come. I love you too.
What? 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 This isn't real.
Why can't a woman be more like a man?
Alright, I've watched this video before, but I feel like every time I watch it, it's equally, if not more jarring than the last time. Alright, I'm just gonna let this play through and go on to the next video.
You seem to want men to be more like women, softer and sensitive, only to wear jeans. Well, women wear jeans. You want a man to be more of a man than you. Does it matter if he's taller? Does it matter if he's shorter than you? Tell me about the excitement of the chase. You like a man to be a challenge. You don't want men who are too sensitive. I think that's a great point. I want men to understand that. Okay, women tell me that for sex to be good, the communication has to be good. But for a man, it takes good sex to create good communication. Sex helps open a man up.
Okay, Will Truth in the chat says, this is called acting. Yeah, I know. Maybe this is completely acting. Maybe it isn't. Probably. But why is the question. The question is why. All right. So I could film myself acting any number of things and upload it to the internet or publicize it, put out a DVD of it, whatever I wanted to do. But why? And why would I act these things? What purpose would it serve? Why would I want to do this? What are my goals? Okay, it's acting. And then what? It's like, to what end is this? He's not auditioning for a role. This isn't like that footage that you put out, that you send in, trying out a part when you're trying to get a part when you're acting. This isn't like a web series that he was trying to start. This isn't some sort of project, really. This is just sort of a one-off thing. I mean, it's part of this film thing called What Women Want. But it's like, okay, so let's say the movie is about interviewing women for what they want. Why is there a random clip of Luke Ford having an imaginary acted conversation with a fake woman asking these questions? I just don't really see the purpose that serves, or like how that would flow with the rest of the documentary. Like it still, there seems to be, it doesn't really make sense, Yeah. It's like filming myself doing a good lift in the gym. Okay, but in the sense of like filming yourself acting well, I mean like having a good acting reel, I guess, I agree. Maybe that is the case. And like actually I used to act, and I have like a bunch of tapes of a lot of the performances that I was in, or just some of the like work that I was doing, like preparing for that, like in some of the courses. Like I took an acting course even with the New York Public Theater pretty recently, and I have some footage like that, but I didn't upload it onto the internet under my name. I didn't really see a need to do that. It's mostly for me and friends and family. So, I don't know.
What am I going to do with you?
Very, very good. Now I'm going to go next to Luke Ford. Luke Ford's book is The History of X. And Luke, let me ask you, how did you get into this whole gossiping about the adult film industry?
I was a struggling mainstream actor who couldn't make a living from acting, and so I thought I need some way of distinguishing myself to break out of the pack. And I thought what I need to do is write a book. And I thought I want to write a book that people will read, that many people will buy. Has to be something about sex, and then I started trying to narrow it down to something that had not been done. There hasn't really been a comprehensive history of porn since 1975, so I thought I'd do a history of sex in film.
You know, we have a caller right now, then we'll get back to you, Luke. Caller!
How you doing?
You're on with Harley. Hey, how you doing?
Not too bad. What's up, brother?
Can we turn him up? I can't hear him.
Are you there?
Yeah. All right, let's continue on here. So, Luke, you had said you continue on.
I thought I'd write a book, and I developed thousands of pages of notes from researching the history of the sex industry. And eventually I started up a website, lukeford.com, in the summer of 1997 with sort of the notes left over from my book. And then I started updating it on a regular basis when the industry's HIV crisis broke through in early 1998, and that's what really made the website
The
prominent.
site's very interesting. It's free to look at. People can find out all the news in the adult industry. You're actually a good writer. You have some experience in that?
Yeah, well, I've been a journalist since my teens. My father's written about 20 books, and my mother's published 2. And so writing's in the family. And
your father's not Stephen King, is he?
No. And no one else was really doing what I was doing, daily updates on the industry and treating the industry like any other industry, treating it fairly seriously, interviewing people, being suspicious of what they tell you, not just allowing people to use you to sell their product. And so it's attracted thousands of hits. And
how many hits do you get per day?
About 70,000 a day.
70,000 hits? Wow. Have you been on the Look Forward site, Angel?
Not yet. I'll check that when I get home.
I think I've been on it. But it's, I have to admit that everything that he wrote in there, because I did go through a bad period, it's all true. His facts, he gets the facts down.
Now, Luke gets a lot of flack from people.
It's all true. His facts, he gets the facts down.
Now, Luke gets a lot of flack from people. Some people want to kill you.
Well, sure. That's because they don't want to admit the truth. He gets down. He gets the truth, the nitty-gritty.
And where do you get all your information from, more or less? Because
from people like Alicia Rio, who call me up and tell me what's going on. From people who know Alicia Rio, from fans of Alicia Rio, say, hey, I saw her at this club and she put on a great show, she put on a bad show. I get talked to people in the industry, I mean, company owners from Steve Hirsch to Russ Hampshire to adult video news publisher Paul Fishbein. I just have dozens of people emailing me every day, and I'm always hitting the phone and calling.
And is this the industry you were really looking to get into?
No,
or are you looking to like do something else? I mean, I look at your reading. You could be a reporter for, well, I'm reading his writing, you know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at it from my point of view. Hey, you stay out of this. That you could be on Entertainment Tonight or the E!
Yeah,
Channel,
I wanted to get into
these.
television news, and I worked for a radio station in Sacramento in the news department for several years. And so journalism is my background, but I think my heroes would be great political figures like Winston Churchill, who also wrote about a dozen books on the history of the British Empire, George Washington, who helped found the United States, Abraham Lincoln. These were my heroes, along with biblical figures like Moses and King David.
Wow, that's some pretty heavy stuff. Ah, pretty interesting.
My father's a Christian theologian, and so
really?
I was raised very deeply within religion. And that, in part, probably accounts for why I'm writing on pornography as a rebellion against the religious strictures in which I was raised. Even though I still lead a fairly religious life, I'm certainly in touch with wanting to put moral boundaries behind you and just indulge. And so it's this, I think, the tension between what my religion demands of me and what my testosterone demands of me, which gives the side its somewhat neurotic flavor.
How important is sex to you? Actually, how many times do you have sex? Do you have a normal girlfriend? not in the business, or do you date people in the adult industry?
This industry has considerably diminished my sexual appetite. Like, I used to...
Yeah, this literally has the like exact same aesthetic and vibe and even like color scheme of the MDE tissue box videos. Yeah.
I used to have these great dreams of illicit sex with lots of women, and then I got into this industry and I saw what that does to a lot of people, and I mean, I just lost much of my sexual appetite. Now I just want to get married. I want one wife, monogamous, you know, lights out,
I know a girl
missionary
in Minnesota
position.
who's a school teacher. She's looking for a nice man like yourself.
Nice Jewish girl. Is she Jewish? I need a nice Jewish girl,
Jewish
have kids, like white
Beautiful,
picket
nice
fence.
frizzy hair. We have a. I was bummed out all day.
I was too.
Yeah, he's been in the industry since 1980 and good friend and worker for Mark Carrier.
Yeah, Luke is very aware. He's self-aware and he's aware of exactly what's going on in the situation. Yeah, he's quite perceptive in that sense.
Leisure Time Entertainment, widely known in the industry. He's been married to several porn stars from Sandra Summers to Blondie B. And
So with Ginger Lynn for a long time?
Right, he was with Crystal Gold. And of course this sent a shockwave through the industry, and immediately everyone that he's worked with and people who've worked with those people were immediately put on quarantine. They were tested and retested, and so far it appears that everyone who's worked with him is HIV free. And that's largely thanks to the fairly stringent testing that the pornography industry has implemented since the Mark Wallace and other HIV outbreaks in early 1998. Now everyone has to take a PCR DNA.
Yeah. The mood in the room shifts when he brings that topic up, I notice. An apricot sky. This is always a classic. This is just classic Luke Ford. Anyone who's a real Luke Ford aficionado.
A 20?
Knows about the apricot sky.
What do you need? Exactly.
Just a quarter.
Well, I've got a quarter.
Oh my God, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Sure, no worries.
Yeah. No, actually, he's expecting me.
Okay.
Hey, I'll see you. That looks so good.
Shoot.
It looks sexy.
No, actually, I'm supposed to meet somebody here, and they never. Actually.
That looks so good.
Shoot.
It looks sexy.
No, actually, I'm supposed to meet somebody here, and they never showed up, and I really don't know what I'm doing or where I'm going.
You're not from Southern California.
No.
You're not from California. You come here to be an actress.
Listen to Daddy Luke. I know all about you. You've come here to be an actress. I know what you want. You want someone that's hard and thrusting. You want someone that's soft and emotional. Listen to me. Just ride with me in my car. I'll take you back to my house, alright?
Flight comes every 5 minutes. There are
Oh, I know everything, dear.
No, but everybody's not the same. They actually asked me to come out here, and that's who I was supposed to meet with my agent.
They sent you a bus ticket. And they're not here. It's an old story. Hollywood's one tough town.
She looks and sounds
Let me
like
think.
plenty of people from California. I could
I
have
live in my
easily
car.
confused her for a Californian.
A lot of people
Oops.
do that and get by. If you don't have anywhere better, you can stay in my car on the back seat tonight. Tomorrow, I have a friend, Helen Starr. You guys might hit it off. You might be up to stay.
You might hit it up with Helen Starr. She might be able to talk you into pursuing a career in the porn industry. You never know. Helen Starr. Yeah, that's a pawn name. Pawnish name.
With her. She won't let me stay with her, but you guys might be all right together. I'll introduce you. Look, I'll buy you a cup of coffee, and we'll talk it over. Okay?
Guess I really don't have any choice to.
Pigeon was going to be the main character of the show, but unfortunately, as the lead, he passed in a tragic accident, so they had to call off the release of the...
What are you doing out here?
Sort of a long story.
Give me the Reader's Digest version.
I actually won a contest back home, and the prize was to come out to LA and also to be an actress.
What sort of contest is this?
His intonation. There's just something about it. It's like when Luke goes into serious mode, or when he goes into like irony mode, or it's like just sometimes randomly like mid-com, like just his tone. Oh, I don't know. It's just so interesting, his tone and his intonations and like the way he pronounces things. Like there's something just slightly, I don't know what it is.
Beauty contest.
I can see that. But why do you want to act?
Why do you want to act?
When I was younger, I used to pretend a lot, sort of like I was in an imaginary world, and it was sort of like acting.
Great writing.
So,
Whoever wrote the script
one day I
that
met
line
this
is freaking
acting teacher,
really.
and he kind of gave me the idea to become an actress. And he had his own acting class, and he pushed me at it very much, and I kind of got stuck with it or something. That's it.
You're a tad.
She's doing all right with the terrible
writing. Because you're always shutting your eyes.
I didn't think you would notice that.
Look, more terrible writing. It gets worse.
Because when I close my eyes real tight and then look at the sun and then you open them really, really fast, it's like you see this beautiful, beautiful red color. It's sort of like an apricot red. Try it.
I see. It's an apricot sky. I see.
It's an apricot sky.
Well, I never thought of it like that, but
Well, I
yeah.
never thought of it like that.
It's fun. I mean, when there's a lot of color around.
I thought of it.
It's nice. It's fun, isn't it?
God, Gail, you're just
An
one
apricot
spunky
sky.
Sheila. In Australia, that means a vivacious, attractive young...
You're just a spunky Sheila. Yeah. Us Aussies love a spunky Sheila, mate. Yeah. Go get me a stubby, hun. We love it. Yo, we love a spunky Sheila, alright? Spunky Sheila. Yo, what's an Australian woman's name? I don't know. Yo, spunky Sheila. Hey. Oh, it's just too much. I can't.
young woman. Looks, personality are what make an actor go. You're in there with the Sharks, but I think you've got a great chance. Looks, personality are what make an actor go.
Someone give me one more video to watch. I'll watch one more after this.
Yeah. It's fun. I mean, when there's a lot of color around, it's nice. It's fun, isn't it?
God, Gail, you're just one spunky Sheila. In Australia, that means a vivacious, attractive young woman. Looks, personality are what make an actor go. You're in there with the Sharks, but I think you've got a great chance. Cheers.
No, this song is epic. I like this song. This is vibey. This is... John Mouse wrote this soundtrack, actually. This was written by John Mouse. Before he worked on World Peace on TV. I would never buy a car off this guy or even an apricot.
Is Jerry Swift in?
It's vibey. See, I vibe with this, dude. Like, this could be great. Like, if this came out, this would be great because it would be like the epic, you know, like vibey kind of old school style, like Flamingosis frickin' type shit, you know, and like people love that type of stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna be cutting off the stream soon. Let's see. This girl was the original Mia Khalifa. John Mouse, I wish. Yeah, that's just the joke I make. You're in there with the Sharks, but I think you've got a great chance. A pickup line in 1995. Guys, aren't we also the weirdos considering we like a show? Oh yeah, I'm the weirdo. I'm weirder than Luke Ford in many ways. Like, I'm more of like the weirdo, you know, like type. Like, Luke Ford's kind of a normie, but Luke Ford is also like the uber weirdo in many ways. It's kind of interesting. It's just different. Like I'm the eccentric almost. Like if someone met me, they'd be like, oh, he's like kind of an eccentric type or like a not normal type. Like, Luke Ford is very normal presenting, but psychologically, I think that Luke Ford may be just as weird, if not weirder than I am. Let's see. That song does need to be sampled. Yeah, those types of mystery meats weren't as common back then. Let's see. Someone says, Claire's calling Luke a sociopath. She says, it is not that Luke cannot act the feelings he is supposed to be feeling. He may have never experienced them for the more demanding roles. Joel Citizen says, I would never buy a car off this guy or even an apricot. His teeth are white, at least. Yes, Luke always has a very impressive set of chompers. He had a nice smile. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. She looks like a Snoopy dog. Luke's Anglo complex relates to quasi-mongoloid features. Luke Ford has converted to Judaism as he knows he will never truly be accepted, thus constantly maintaining a cycle of rejection. Whoa. Some hot takes in the chat. Babs, I'd like to call in next time and discuss a few things. Yeah, Chris, please, you can call in this time, but yeah, you're welcome to call in next time too. Luke could play handsome young man on a date, and that's just about it, probably. But what she says that because you believe that it's not that Luke cannot act the feelings he's supposed to be feeling. He may never have experienced them for the more demanding roles. He may never have experienced them for the more demanding roles. Alright, let's see. We are all part of Luke's circus and his performing animals. I know this, but don't mind. It's amazing how much... Yeah, big tent Ford. It's amazing how much that Chinese phenotype stays with you throughout the generations. Interesting. And then Alec Finner says, sometimes one has to make the same mistake over and over again, consciously knowing it's destructive before realizing that behavior is no longer worth it. Yeah, I agree. That is the case. That has been the story of my life. I've gotten less weird or more self-accepting. I feel like, yeah, I've gotten less weird and more self-accepting. I feel like that happens to people with age. I had the clear accent down better, but I need to drink more water. If I can't do the clear accent if I don't drink water, honestly. And like right now, I need to drink water. So, yeah, I will be... Claire on lashings? No, I don't think that I don't just want white women to be whipped. That's absurd, and you know it. Really, the reason why I support lashings is because corporal punishment is a far more efficient, expedient, and moral way of enforcing rule of ethical law in society. Don't you understand? All right, I will be concluding this stream and starting a new one immediately afterwards. That's just going to be an open hangout that anyone who wishes to join can go on. And thanks for watching, everyone. Hey, Slow-Mo. What's up?
Good, good. Are you streaming or something?
Yeah.
Or are you...
Yeah, I'm about to start up a stream
okay.
in the next 5 minutes or so. If you want to join, then just hang around and I'll let you know when I just need to quickly grab myself something to eat, and then I'll be good to go.
Okay, I might hop in. How many viewers are you reaching these days?
It depends. It really depends. If I use my main channel, I have 1.4K viewers. The most I've gotten on a stream within this year has been like almost 100, maybe like 70, 80 viewers at once. But usually I get at most like 50, 60. And generally it's in the 20s or 30s, 40s range.
Okay, so you know what? Send me again, and once you start off, then go ahead and send me. Once it's like already started up and there's some people in, you can. All right, cool. You can.
Well, you have the link. This is the link. So just
yeah,
it'll be on the Babscast channel. Awesome. Talk to you soon.
Okay. All right. Peace out, man.
Oh wait, I meant to end this stream. I didn't mean. I meant to start a new stream. My bad. Oh, that's annoying.